describe yourself, and how would people that know you describe you?
I'm a young politician since 1 year ago. Otherwise, I'm a trained architect that started my career in my hometown. This is quite significant because I'm one of the rare examples of my generation that actually had a strong desire to return to this city after the studies. Celje is not a big city, so of course for the professions that are very connected to space, that have to be developed through a lot of different potentials. This is quite a small environment. So quite quickly after I returned to this city, I somehow started engaging as a city councillor. I entered the political group because I was interested in change in a general, maybe political sense in Slovenia. But the situation was that I got elected with preferential vote. I didn't have a strong ambition to enter this, and of course it got very interesting for me also to look into depth of the organization of the city structure, city services, and most of all, of course, of the city visions for the future. Situation led to previous elections when I got this kind of inner call that I have to engage more, and I ran as a mayor. How would other people describe me? This is hard to tell, but I try to be a team player. This is something that I value a lot. I valued before, and of course, in this kind of position that I am now, this is sometimes a bit harder to maintain. But still, I think my coworkers understand that the highest value for me in collaboration is to exchange real views and of course to get to goals together with the dialogue.
So at the moment you are mayor of Celje. When did you officially started your official function of being a mayor of the municipality of Celje?
End of December 2022, so it's a bit less than a year ago.
You are one of the youngest mayors in Slovenia, which is really rare in our environment. How did you describe, or how did you decide to run for a mayor, especially for a mayor, not for a member of the council, but for a mayor? Because as we can see, Slovenian environment, the mayors are people that are above 50. Mm-hmm. You are around 30.
Yeah. Okay, the situation is changing since the last election quite significantly in Slovenia. It's actually, now we have a generation of young mayors all around the country, people around from 30 to 40. So I have some colleagues also in the region, in the surrounding municipalities that are kind of my age. Now, yes, I'm the youngest among the mayors of the city municipalities in Slovenia. We have 12 regional centers that are bigger cities. So in this club, I am the youngest, but also other mayors are mostly the younger than older generation. We have only one, the mayor of the capital, that is a bit of older age, and also he has been mayor for quite a long time. So I mentioned before, as a city councillor, I saw a lot of opportunities for this city, and especially my feeling at the time was that this city really needs changing the political leadership. Our previous mayor was in office for 24 years, which is a really long period. During that time, a lot of situations happened. The city has strongly developed. Slovenia, of course, went through a political transition, and also Celje, I may say, quite successfully spent that time. But today's time is different, and some points of development of the city were somehow neglected in the past maybe 10 years. First of all, my motivation was how to re-engage the population that is rapidly moving out of Celje. Celje is the city among 12 Slovenian municipalities that has the highest rate of people not returning back after the studies. So this was maybe one of the strongest goals that is connected, of course, with a lot of questions. The first one is urban politics, urban development, meaning the spatial planning that has been a bit slow in that time. So we have some issues with the development of new economies, new businesses, and of course we need to engage more in the building for residential purposes. So these were some main questions that I posted myself, and I saw with my of course professional background, with the connections I have in the city and with my political ambition and work, a potential to actually win the election. There were not many people who believed that is possible, but we decided to do it in a very professional, organized way. I got the support from a lot of people that I really respect deeply, and that helped me to get, of course, the strength to run such a difficult campaign that we had, and of course win.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So your campaign was very interesting because it was some kind of a deviation of what we were used to before. Your team was very active on social media, especially targeting young people, and therefore I'm questioning why the targeting young people through social media was that important.
Maybe it seems so, I don't know, I wouldn't completely agree. Okay, first of all, as a young person, you talk young language, you address topics like this, but we tried to get the campaign through all the spheres of society. In Celje, the young voters are a really small group in the end result, so it would be, maybe some other opponents didn't see it as an important topic, but of course, for the development of the city, the young voters are the ones that should be addressed the most, or at least listened to in the most serious way. Otherwise, our campaign was mostly based on terrain. I was moving a lot. We had a bike, and then later also like a tricycle with some apples, driving through the whole city. I ended up with some 700 kilometers of a physical activity on terrain. So this was the main point of campaign, to get to all the localities, to talk to the people and to find the neuralgic points that they see problematic in the city. And through the program and social media, of course, then I was answering all these issues that I heard of. This was something priceless also for my work in the office now. I think I have to stay active on terrain, I have to be engaged in direct contact with people, because this is the only way to see and to get the political focus in the local politics the right way. Of course, today I think also it's not only directed to the young people. All the groups of population in the city are, or most of them are on social media and follow it. And this is, of course, the most practical and the cheapest way to address all the topics. But the election wouldn't have been successful, of course, without the mainstream media engagement. The debates we had, and of course the media coverage. So probably the activity that was a bit different also raised the interest of the media, that helped to create the whole campaign as successful. We didn't spend a lot of money in the end.
The Agora project is about targeting people to enhance their active participation and also to encourage them to go on elections. Why do you think active participation is important? And moreover, why should especially young people go on elections, go and vote?
Yeah, I think it's crucial. It's a bit different on a national level of politics, where we get higher engagements. People are more kind of engaged to go to the election. while in the local environment, I'm surprised, but the rates of voters are very low in Slovenia. In Celje, we had really under 40% this time, 41% of engagement. So in this combination, of course, the biggest lack is among the young people, and I don't understand that completely, because for everyday life, for the issues we face in our everyday life, local community is the one that is the most important. I think this is it's a bit of a structural problem that, of course, politicians have to address, and it's our responsibility to get these rates higher. I believe that it is somehow connected with the trust and the feeling that people actually can influence any procedure in their surroundings. So it is important that the local community, local government is not something abstract, but actually is responding to the demands of people. So younger generations, of course, use different channels, think different way, engage in the different circles that are, of course, harder to reach by politics, also by the political parties that have young groups among themselves, because at that time of age you have, of course, different focuses in your life. But if you at least a bit adjust the tone of speech and the way of communication, also these groups are open to discussion and are very often quite engaged. I was surprised in the campaign, specifically with the Instagram responses, where the most of the I say younger than 40, or that part of population was extremely active with ideas, with comments, with problems they see. That is something that I wouldn't generally say that Instagram is, but in Celje this channel really worked. So I don't know what's the next election gonna look like, but maybe there's still possibilities to see where this engagement can be happening. For me, the ideal world would be that it would be in the places, that it would be in the playgrounds, in the parks, on streets. But for now, it's easier to get in contact through social media than in person with specifically younger population, I'd say.
Do you think that municipality can do something to encourage active participation among citizens?
For sure.
From your point of view.
This is the same. Now I was talking about the campaign, but the campaign is also a teacher of how the communication of the city municipality has to look like. I think the municipality is the one that is responsible for not only for informing people, but to communicate with them. So using all these channels is something that is unavoidable, and we're working on it very seriously also in our office. And of course, to get all the tools to get the real feedback from the people. This year we started some projects like this in the participatory manner. We are designing 2 playgrounds right now, where the designers are having urban picnics to engage the community, to get their ideas way before it is going to be a draft on the paper. So I think it is the right way. As I see, the response is good, and also the response of the people that come to these events is sometimes quite different of the one that the elected politicians that sit in the city council or in the local councils is.
Do you recollect of any of the good examples in encouraging active participation, or some sample of active participation in democratic engagement? Do you have any of good examples? This part that you said, developing community and participatory approach in developing results, but also do you have any other maybe good examples? Or not only from the point of view of municipality, but also further?
Mm-hmm. I think that the good examples, especially in the cities are actually the many non-governmental organizations that can appear with an idea to change something significantly. And I wouldn't get into the specifics which, but there are so many potentials in this time, and the municipality is the one that has to systematically support this kind of activities that can really bring change. If there is, okay, in sports, in Italy we have really a lot of sports clubs. They're all NGOs that are run on the enthusiasm that can actually express their visions by themselves, and no one has to tell them what to do. But among the youngs or in the cultural fields, this amount is not as high, and I see that this is some potential that in the city we still have. And the best examples are the ones that actually come from the ideas of the people that take the material into their hands and that create something. I just remember there is one also active in your youth center, Bacchanal, that is a podcast or a live platform of music that is one of these kind of initiatives that we have to emphasize as a good example.
Do you think about approaches from your point of view as a mayor? Some approaches how to encourage young people to be more active and also to be more active in democratic system, to get like some of the functioning in the council or be active in their local communities in the smaller parts. Do you have any ideas, or do you have like idea how to approach them?
Yes.
From the point of view of a mayor?
Yes, but one is theory and the other is practice. Of course, the most important with engagement is that if you try to get in touch with the community and ask them what to do, you really have to then do it. And in theory, this perfectly works, but in practice, you have to be smart enough and organized enough to get all the bureaucratic background and of course the financial background in order before you do this kind of engagement. So this is a big, of course, issue sometimes because you start the communication, you get the ideas in some shape, and then you're not able to actually do them because, I don't know, there are some legal issues with some laws that you cannot use and people would like to, because the city council then wouldn't support the budgeting for the idea. So there are some threats in this process, but yeah, we have to be active in them and to prepare them really well before we start them. So I think the society and successful organizations on the, of course, political or governance level will have to do more of this kind of engagement actions in the future and to organize our work, especially in the local level, more in this way. We want to establish the participatory budgeting in Celje. That, of course, is something that works exactly the way I described, but I want to get clear all the potential threats before we actually do it and before we actually start asking people what to do, because there are a lot of examples also in our country where this budgeting started, but in the end there are no physically built and finished projects. So.
In 3 key words for young people about their active participation.
Yeah, I would invite you to look around yourself in your local surroundings and to try to find things that you value, that seem beautiful to you, that you can fall in love with them. This is something that helps you get very positive and enthusiastic. Try to engage as much as possible and of course communicate between each other and with the authorities. It is, I think, worth being active and trying, because it makes your and the people around your lives more beautiful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor of Municipality of Sedia, for your time, for your input in this project. So thank you and all success in your further work.
Thank you for this conversation.